Hi friends, it's Velvet. Today I am just putting together my next junk journal. I had the very good fortune of selling 3 journals in one morning. I am running a sale, but by the time this gets uploaded, the sale will be over. But yeah, someone bought 3 junk journals in one day, and then one of my kits, and I am just so fortunate. So I still have quite a few in my store, but I thought I should probably, there I go yawning. Excuse me. I should probably, get working on them. And I actually have found where I had printed off some of my own kits and folded them and then just kind of didn't do anything with them. So this is one of my blue kits that I had made. And so I've kind of decorated it. I use my own stuff here and then some 49 in Market that I had sitting out. And I believe each signature has 6 pages. I've got 3 signatures with 6 pages each. Lots of room for journaling. So I had pre-made some little covers here. Just covered up, some cardboard, and this may have been like this is probably a shipping, one of those flat shipping envelopes. So I just covered it up. Yeah, it looks, I don't know what it says on there, but yeah, I did that, and then I picked out some pretty fabric to go on the outside, and then this is going to be the inside fabric. I thought that would be nice. So I thought I'd just take you through what I do to get these covered. And then you just want to keep in mind here that this has this. And in fact, what I usually do, if it has this, the white edging there, I will generally cut that off because I don't want to screw up and accidentally make that part of the cover, because it would be just like me to do that, So that gets set aside, and I will use that for something. Sure, I will. All right, so let's just make sure. I think if you've watched me long enough, you know that I like the edgy, the stuff, the frayed edges. So I will go like this. Now I will decide, I think I want this like this. I try to give myself enough to hang over like that, because I like to give myself enough room so that if these hang out, and they will, then this is, long enough so that when I sew it, these aren't actually hanging out of the book. So I'm giving myself like 1.5 inches here. And then that means I give myself about 1.5 inches over here too. Yeah. And then I try and do that all the way around. So here is what I know. That I've already lost my scissors. Yep, they're there. Okay. So I know that I am probably going to want to cut here. Cut as straight as I can. I can't tell you how many times I have cut and ripped crooked. This could be one of those times. And if that's the case, then I try. Yeah, I think I've ripped crooked on this one. Then what I'll do is I'll just move the book over as best as I can to make it as even as possible. Or I'll try to, cut so like this right here. I can see where it started going wrong, and it's right here. So what I would do is I would just go like this and then just try as best I can. There we go. To kind of even that up. And that doesn't matter. It's all getting sewn anyway, so. Or do I want to go all the way over here and do that? That is very pretty because these colors are very vibrant right here. So maybe I do that. So let's go there, and then we will just cut this about here. Yep. Set those aside. Then I bring the inside fabric over, and I will measure this off of this. So we'll say this is about right here. Okay, we'll rip that down and put this here. Is that right? Nope, this is how I had it. Well, there, like that. And we'll go like this. And rip. Now these scraps here, these can make pockets. These could easily become pockets on the inside. You could cut these and make them into little pockets on your inside covers. So just a thought, something that could happen. All right, so this should be, nope, I did it wrong again. Let's try that. So these will be our covers, our inside and outside cover. As you can see, the inside is a little bit long, but that's okay. All right, now the fun part. What I call the fun part, but it's not the fun part. I hate this part. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put this down. And then, you know, it really depends on what you want to do, how you want to get the fabric on here. I start with some glue, and I don't overdo it with the glue. I use Fabri-Fix or Fabri-Tac, and I kind of spread it out before I put the fabric down. This stuff is not supposed to come through your fabric, but it does. Sometimes you can see the spots. If you let it start to dry a little bit, it works out a little better. So here's what I do. And if you don't want to kind of gum up your sewing machine, if that's what you're going to do, if you're going to sew afterwards, I don't go all the way to the edge on this because I sew on the edge, generally speaking. So here's what I do. Now you can get dirty and use your fingers and kind of wipe this around on here, or you can use like a silicone brush or something. Sometimes this works, sometimes it just annoys me and doesn't work so well. So this is how you kind of keep it from coming through or showing through your fabric, so you don't see like dark spots, wet spots through the fabric. Generally. And that depends on the fabric too. Like, I'm using very thin fabric here, so when I go to do the outside, I'm expecting I might see some of this glue show through. I don't know, but I'm thinking maybe. Is this it? That looks it. Okay. Alright, so then I kind of line it up with the cover that's on the bottom there. And then I just kind of smush it down. I'm just using my hands right now because I don't necessarily want it to, I don't need it to be like super, like wrinkle free right at the moment. I'm just trying to get it to be on there where I want it. I'm not looking for perfection at the moment. I'm just trying to get the two sides on, because while the glue is still wet, if you're pushing too hard, that's when you can see some of the glue come through. So now that I've got that side on is when I'll turn over. Whoops, that doesn't go with me. And I'll turn over. Look at how crooked I did that. That's ridiculous. The beauty is that you've got time to fix. Okay, there we go. Let's just lift, and now I've shown you a couple of things of what not to do. Don't rip crooked, and don't put your fabric down crooked. Right. I mean, it's, you know, it's not the end of the world. I'm just saying. Now, if you don't own a sewing machine and you aren't planning on sewing your fabric cover on, then you are going to want to be kind of, you know, careful with your gluing. You're going to need it to stay put. So, I think I would probably still stay with the Fabri-Tac, but I would probably handle like this part first and then go to this part. And I think I would probably use my fingers and get this all smushed in with my fingers and then put the fabric on. And I might be a little less likely to use like a really thin cotton like I'm using today. Oopsie. Now I've used a lot more glue on the front, which is funny because I said I'm worried about the glue coming through the fabric on the front, and here I am using a ton of it, the fabric. There are a lot of glues that you can use. I mean, some people just use a white glue. I've seen people, and I have done it before myself, use double-sided tape. Especially if you're doing some sewing or putting some things down. Gel medium could probably work in certain cases. Okay, let's see what happens. All right. Now, because this looks crooked to me down here, I'm probably going to cut it and rip it, but now how did I make it so that these very vibrant ones were showing? Oh well. I guess we'll never know. Is that even? It looks pretty even to me. All right. I think we're on there pretty good. All right. I'm not seeing the glue coming through, so I guess I smushed it in pretty good. Now is when you're going to want to, egads, kind of, you know, just make sure that this is, if you're worried about wrinkles, now is when you're going to want to kind of stretch that fabric so that you can't see your wrinkles. I don't worry about that too much. I figure a lot of this is going to be covered with your page embellishments. Oh, one of the dogs is doing something. Oh, the oldest one is down here with me today. He's walking around on the carpet. All right, so I did not build in a spine. I don't do that on a lot of my books. I just, this middle will be our middle, and then I'll just do equidistance on the sides of it. That's how I do mine. Now, I typically will get this guy over here and just kind of, you know, just make sure that and if I need to, I'll throw some extra glue underneath the edges. Especially if I decide I don't want to sew on the edge. If I decide I want to sew off the edge, then I will put some glue right up to the edge here before I go to the sewing machine. So now, at this point, what I usually do is I let it sit for a little bit. I let it sit. I usually let it sit for a good, at least 4 or 5 hours, just to make sure I'm not going to be sewing through wet glue. It probably would be fine because I probably am not going to sew right along these edges, but I don't know that for a fact. I might change my mind once I get over to my machine. Now the other thing is I want to also bend it and see how off I am, so that once this is dry, I can make this even. So, because I had already made my crease here, I know that this is how it should look. So what I could do is, I could go around this. I could put it on my, cutter thing here and use this guy. I'm lacking words today. I could use this guy and even it up all the way around, but I don't know. It doesn't look too bad. And once so I don't typically, I wouldn't typically do any ripping right now. I would do all my sewing. Make sure that this glue is holding very, very well. And then if I wanted to do some ripping, like I will with this blue interior, I would do it after the fact, and then I would probably put some heavy books here, make the cut and rip. after it's sewn, after the glue is completely dry, and with some heavy books on, just so that I'm not ripping stitches out or ripping it off the cardboard. So, all right, so that is how that is gonna look. Okay, and then these are, so now you'll be able to see, once I get that ripped, you'll see that those don't stick out beyond where the fabric ends. But even if they do, that's okay, because what I could do also is put some lace down the edge, and I may very well do that too. I do like how that looks. So that is the start of this journal. Now, like I said, the signatures are pretty much done. All I'm really going to do is, I'll probably do some sewing around the edges, maybe sew some lace on there. What else? I'm very conscious of my ums now. So, you know, the other thing I could do instead of ripping, I could probably do this and then go like this and sew down that and make sure this phrase, I have to think about that. And I don't know. I like sewing the two together because it covers up the edge of the book all the way around, and it's a nice border, especially if I do something creative like a leaf pattern. I don't know, we'll see. All right, so I guess that is what I had to show you today. I don't know as I will come back to show you how, or take you through the decorating of the top here. I don't know what I'm going to do with the top just yet, but maybe I will sit here while this is drying and figure out what I am going to do with the top, and then come back and show you, you know, maybe get this sewn up and then take you through the process of decorating the top with me. So that will be a separate video though, I think. All right, well, thank you for sitting through this with me. I appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing and hitting like and supporting my little corner of YouTube. I appreciate it. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.